Ooh, welcome to Big Brother Basics, where we break down the basics of Big Brother 17. My name's Jacob Harple, and joining with me tonight is the always fantastic, always fabulous, this time looking at his phone, Keith Guerrero. How are you doing, Keith?
I'm doing fantastic and fabulous. Thank you so much for much.
And joining with us again, as always, except for last time, but he's here this time. Always ecstatic, always erratic. Aaron Nunley. Aaron, how are you tonight?
Doing great, thank you. I'm gonna talk to you and not to them.
I'm talking to them.
Yeah, well, we got to talk to the audience.
Well, I mean, you're looking at me and I'm talking to you. So.
All right, so we've got a lot to talk about.
Good beginning.
We want to go through the eviction episode a little bit on Thursday, but then, for the most part, we want to recap the Sunday night episode of Big Brother 17. So let's just jump into it. So we got a lot of action on Davon on Thursday, when we saw her leave, but we saw her discover the twin twist and also get the last laugh and ultimately become evicted. Now, I wanna get your opinion, Aaron, on the last laugh twist. Do you think that this twist was, kind of a waste? Did you think it had potential? What are your thoughts?
With the way the house is right now, like just the dynamics of it, it would need to have more power to do like more damage, or to do some real damage.
Mm-hmm.
So in that type of regard, I think it was a waste. Should have eliminated half of the house's votes, and then bam, what you gonna do now, Julia?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just attacking her. Yeah.
Keith, we saw Davon discover the twins and basically spread it like wildfire, and then go to the twins and try to use that as a way to get her on her side. Do you think that she might have been better off if she flipped that order, maybe go to the twins first? What are your thoughts on how she handled that conspiracy theory?
Right, because I remember Julie was trying to go in on Davon during her exit interview, kind of asking her the same thing, but Davon was like, I don't get what you're saying. You approach, because knowledge is power, right? So if you give the knowledge to other people, then you don't have that power. It's like common knowledge, everybody has that power. So if she had that perception to think that they're twins and would have approached Liz and Julia kind of how we saw people approach them this episode, then maybe they would have been loyal to Davon as opposed to Vanessa and Austin. But yeah, since she spread it like wildfire, it kind of got out of her control, so she didn't really have much bargaining.
Yeah, definitely.
With that information.
Yeah, we don't know how much of a difference it would have made, but definitely I think worth a shot. So, Aaron, we saw Davon leave by a vote of 7-2. One of those two votes were Audrey. Were you surprised to see Audrey yet again throw out a hinky vote? Do you think there's a method to this madness? What's the deal?
I'm surprised to see Audrey, just in general, because
like in the game
still?
still?
See her in the game. I'm not really a fan. We don't like each other. We've talked about it. It's okay. We're civil to each other, but
that's great.
I don't like her. But hinky votes are okay, I guess. I mean, we don't like to see unanimous votes because I like people to have a brain, not just go with what the house wants. A vote is power, and if you don't know how to use it, why don't you just get evicted so that someone else can use that power?
Of course.
So yeah, go ahead, throw your hinky vote.
What did you think about Davon's selections of the three people that she sat out? Because you would assume that she would choose Clay.
Right.
He's a definite, but she chose Jeff,
Jackie, and Becky. Yeah, I thought that was really weird because as soon as she got the power, I was thinking of, who would be the best people to select, and Clay was the one that you 100% wanted to remove. So my initial thought was, well, maybe she wants to cloud it so it doesn't look like she had the power, but she's about to leave the door. Like, what does she have to lose? And if anything, I was thinking that the people she elected were people she would want to try and get over. Like, I think Becky would have been someone that would have potentially voted to keep Davon, because we know how against Audrey is. How against Audrey Davon is and Becky. And so it seemed like she could have tried to convince her to keep her in the house. So I thought it was weird, and I don't know. It was a weird 3 in my opinion. I don't know if I thought it was a good selection. What about you?
I think it just showed how little influence Power had, because I'm pretty sure she knew that she was going to be evicted. And so instead of proving that she did have the power, she might have wanted to like create some paranoia, maybe some protection for people that are going to stay in the house like Jason. So I think that she made that decision because she was frustrated that they were some key swing votes that didn't end up confirming that they were going to vote to keep her. And I think she kind of just did it as a way to protect the people that are definitely going to be in the house. But yeah, it's not like seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5 where there's like split votes every single week. Like unanimous is kind of the way to go now, and 3 votes doesn't really sway people keeping someone.
Right. So Aaron, unfortunately we see Davon leave the house, and we cut to the HOH competition, and ultimately Austin and Vanessa are the final 2 left. They are the HOHs for the week. What was your reaction seeing these 2 people win?
I honestly don't know, because in the house for these 2 weeks, I haven't really felt any sort of wave for Austin or Vanessa. They both kind of been floating under. I mean, Austin kind of was on the radar a little bit with Jace there, but now they're just kind of they had been kind of just middle roading it. So I didn't know too from them. Your Audreys, your Shelleys, even Clay, like all these other people that are high on the target list. I mean, Clay hasn't even won HOH, and
he's already a huge
there,
target. Yeah. Keith, what was your reaction to these 2? Do you agree with Aaron that these are kind of 2 people that didn't necessarily need to be winning HOH?
No, I think that they could benefit from winning HOH because they're so middle of the road, and I think that they were kind of scraping at the bottom of the barrel a little bit. So this is a perfect opportunity for them to establish some power, and if used correctly, can develop some allies. Week 3 is a magic week too, because you got to see like 2 HOHs before kind of the dynamics are beginning to settle. You could figure out which side you want to be on and how you want to approach the rest of this game.
Right.
So if it's approached correctly, it could be very, very powerful. I mean, Derek was HOH week 3, and he set himself up really, really well. But
yeah, let's get into the kind of what they decided to do with this HOH. So the first big thing from tonight's episode is we see Julia openly admit to Vanessa that she is in fact an identical twin. We basically the storyline becomes how Vanessa, Austin, Clay, and Shelley can reel in these 2 and use them as votes. And there's a lot to talk about with this twist, Keith. What was your reaction watching Julia and Vanessa in bed together talking about the twist?
I'm just really frustrated that people can't keep a damn secret for their life. Like, for like the church, praise it.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, even though it's difficult doing a twist that happened in the previous season, so people know that they did it in the past. There was a twin twist that did happen in the past. Like, you should pick people that look alike. You should pick people that can handle like perceiving that they're identical for 5 weeks. 5 is a long time too, but like just pick people that like are contractually obligated not to admit that they're a twin when they're inside the game. I think it totally messes things up when the idea of the twist is for them not to reveal anything, but then like in week 2, week 3, people are not idiots. There's clear differences with their physical appearances of Liz and Julia, and their attitudes or their like demeanor is kind of different as well. So I'm like, so frustrating that they couldn't keep it a secret. And then for her to, I don't know if it was allowed, but she ended up like confiding in Vanessa at 4:30 in the morning and admitting that she is indeed a twin. Like, to me, I'm like, that doesn't warrant you both entering the game at week 5.
Do you think, putting yourself in Julia and Liz's position, though, do you feel like knowing that a lot of people are suspecting this and that it's on the brink of being found out, it's not even the end of week 2 yet, do you think it might have been in her best interest to try and use that information to get allies?
Well, yes, because there's really nothing interesting that Liz or Julia can do, because that's their main storyline, that they're a twin and that they can only have half conversations with people for fear of their other twin not having the same amount of information when they only have 15 minutes to exchange it when they swap out. So that's the only thing that they could do to obtain knowledge. But I go back to the point that they could not succeed going 5 weeks without being discovered. So I don't think that it warrants both of them entering the house at week 5.
Okay. So you think that because since they've been discovered that, and honestly, that they shouldn't even be allowed to enter in.
I do. I agree. And that's why I think it's so important for them to have, when they select the twins for this type of twist, they need to have the correct mentality of going in, having the strategic powers, making use of those 15 minutes. And then when they know that they're going into the show, dyeing their hair the same, making sure that it's cut the same way, having the same fingernail polish, having the same exact, there's just big things that could have been done for Liz and Julia to avoid this situation. And, it was difficult. They're excited to be on the show, and they just weren't able to pull it off as well as Adrienne and Natalie did.
Right. Aaron, how did you feel if they maybe punished them almost for being discovered? what if since they were discovered that, either they get sent home, or maybe if they do survive to that week 5, the two twins have to compete against each other for the spot as who would stay since they were discovered?
I'm right there with Keith. As an avid Big Brother, old school Big Brother fan, and loving that twist and the stuff that Adrienne and Natalie had to go through and fool everybody, because had CBS not told us who the twin was, I wouldn't have been able to tell. But I could tell Julia and Liz right away. They look different, and it frustrates me too that they didn't pick people who were identical.
Right.
When I say identical, I mean identical. So I think some type of I don't think both of them should be allowed to be in. It was definitely a rule back in the day when you had to have skill, that you couldn't tell anyone that you were a twin. And so I think that should be upheld now. It kind of shows that the twist these days, they just make them all easy for people. If you can't even do that, the one thing that we cast you on this show for,
right? Exactly.
Then why are you here? That's it.
Let's talk about basically the reaction that we got from some of the other house guests. So as soon as Vanessa and Austin and Clay and Shelly find out, their immediate reaction is to scoop them up, try and protect the twins so that the other one can come in and use them as an extra number. What do you think about this strategy? Is it a viable way to get another number, or are they potentially hindering themselves later in the game by allowing another player to enter in, and that's one more person they have to evict? What are your thoughts, Aaron?
It'll end up being just how the cookie crumbles, I think. I do think that they have some good points on we need as many people as we possibly can. So having another person, especially 2 people in your alliance that are going to be bigger targets than you, because even though Shelly and Clay are a big target, those twins are going to be for sure they're never going to backstab each other.
Right.
I do think it's a little bit of a mistake because especially the way that they're telling Liz and Julia to play, ostracize yourself from everybody else. That's not good. That's how you get jury votes.
Right.
So it's going to be how it falls, just whatever happens, because there are goods and bads to it.
What do you think, Keith?
I'm surprised that, first off, Vanessa and Austin would want to jump on the Clelly ship, because I thought that it was a pretty sinking ship after the HOH train. I would want to distance myself from that. They isolated themselves from their HOH. I'm going to bring everybody back together. But they decided that Vanessa and Austin want to isolate themselves as a pair as well. So now that we have 2 isolated pairs and then another pair that's potentially going to come in with large targets, then I think it makes sense for them to all give word that they're going to... Hi, Joe! That they're all going to look after each other.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very interesting situation. Aaron, do you feel like there are some people that would benefit from having the twins into the game? Maybe someone like Austin, who seems to have a pretty good relationship with the twins, someone that, they could hide behind. Maybe Clay and Shelly like it because that's another pair. They, that can maybe soak up more attention.
The twins being in the house is going to be technically good for everybody, because that's always a threat is always good for everybody's game, but not if those threats are in power. Then someone else is in trouble. No, I think the twins will be good for target wise,
right?
But it does suck because, as mentioned earlier, that's another week like that somebody's getting pushed out for.
Exactly. So let's kind of talk about what their plan for the week is, because a lot of people are expecting them to target Audrey, kind of just like last week. But it became very apparent that Audrey was definitely not on Vanessa's hit list. Were you surprised to figure this out, or do you think that maybe Audrey would be a good target for Vanessa to go after? What are your thoughts, Keith?
I think Audrey would have been a great target for Vanessa. I mean, sure, Devon had that public confrontation and it made Devon look really bad, but that was because Vanessa had issues with Audrey. Vanessa has every right to go after Audrey, so it's very warranted for her to backdoor Audrey, and it'll make the entire house happy. Vanessa can have a scotch-free HOH train, everything's done, and everybody is satisfied with how she ran the week.
Right.
So I think it makes all the sense in the world for her to evict Audrey, and I'm kind of disappointed that she's not going that route.
Right. I can kind of see it both ways. It's almost kind of like last week. But I feel like Vanessa has more of a reason to target Audrey than Shelly did. If Audrey is all alone, Vanessa could maybe go after someone else that she likes. But I feel like Vanessa was playing a semi under the radar game. She didn't really she wasn't on a clear cut side with anyone. Everyone had a pretty decent relationship with her. But now she's like picking up all these people, trying to create alliances, which is good in a way, but I feel like it's a little aggressive, and it's you kind of want to play peacemaker when you can. So if Audrey really isn't doing anything for your game, then it might be better for you to just take her out. No one's going to get mad at you for taking out Audrey, and sink right back in. I think the goal when you're HOH is when that HOH reign is over, you almost mesh back in with the house guests and aren't really viewed as a threat anymore. What are your thoughts on this area?
That's why I have an issue with this HOH reign, is because if you're not going to go after Audrey, then make a deal with her, like use her, and she's not doing that. Therefore, why are you pissing off the other group of house guests that are in here and not even getting something out of it? Like, you're saving Audrey and you're not getting something from that. And you're just getting enemies.
And like the thing is it's not even like you can make a deal with Audrey or talk game with Audrey, because every occasion where someone has given something Audrey has used it, manipulated it, and completely blown things up. Do you think that Jeff is a good target for Vanessa and Austin? I guess we can include both of them now.
I can see where Jeff and like James are like targets, but I feel like we talked about this, or when we talked about it last week, like these middle of the road people, like they're the ones that really need to go. Like, I mean, I guess Jeff is perceptive and James is too, but I feel like you need to get rid of all these people that are just going to the pawns, the people who are going to be in the battle of the block, the competitors of the battle of the block this season, because these are the only people that are going to compete. Your Johns, your Megs, Jason also is pretty smart up there, so he needs to go too. Like, all these people that need to actually go, that are gonna make it last, or who are gonna last longer than your Clays and your Shellys. Like, all these people, I don't know what Vanessa's really doing. I think she's messing up this week. Well,
let's talk about Austin for a second, because Austin, I feel like, is kind of making out like a bandit for this HOH. He is keeping someone like Audrey, who he feels like is getting targeted. He seems to be maintaining a good reputation with the house. He's playing dumb. He's making people think that he wants Audrey out. And he's letting Vanessa do all the dirty work, make this potentially huge move to take out a player like Jeff. And he's just sitting down, not really associated as well. So what do you think about the way Austin is playing? I guess not necessarily this week, but the game in general right now.
Great. He's doing what he should do. He needs to downplay his intelligence. He needs to downplay his physical prowess. And he needs to have the ability to potentially ensure his safety the following week.
Right.
So if he doesn't really have any goals that he wants to accomplish his HOH this week, then do you. I'm surprised that he chose Meg and Jason to give immunity to. Because, like, whoever you nominate, if you don't want to be HOH, they're going to have immunity. Why not throw Becky in there? She's great at competitions, and give her immunity, But
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because if that group is gonna be against that, I'd like to think it's a tight foursome like James. We've got James, Jason, Meg, and Jeff with kind of Jackie. And you know, you kind of want to give yourself options, like, and instead he completely. And I blame Vanessa for the John backdoor plan or out of the block. You're giving half of that alliance, so. And then one of them's on the block, and of course this is, you know, the Stars alliance situation, but what if Jeff gets picked for veto? What if Jeff wins the veto? He takes off James, and then
what you gonna do then, Vanessa?
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought with John was very kind of half-baked, and that's what I want to talk about right next. So they go up to John and a few weeks of safety to throw the back. What was your reaction to this whole exchange, Aaron?
First off, well, I don't know how I feel about John and his. As we know, even though they were saying like, "Oh, we'll give you this if you," he's on the block no matter what. You can say whatever you want to say. So I guess the best thing, seem okay with it, even though he's. That's a whole other issue there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't like. Personally, I can't wait for all of these first couple of weeks to blow up in their faces. I can't wait for your Clays, your Shelley, your Vanessa, your Austin to be sitting next to Audrey with someone else's HOH ring, and then Audrey wins a veto. Like, and then you're going to be like, well, you know, we probably should have gotten rid of her, you know, when we had the chance. So you do whatever you got to do these weeks, but.
Do you think it's a mistake for John to almost get forced into this situation, Keith? Is there anything you think he could have done to gotten out of a situation like this?
Yeah, it's to have a backbone and fight for yourself. I mean, we saw Meg's reaction to being nominated. Throw a temper tantrum. Be upset. Show that you're not okay being nominated. Austin had his tail between his legs, comforting his nominees because he doesn't want them to come after him. He's like, I'm sorry I just nominated you. I just think it's like the right game move for me at this point in time. But Austin is very apologetic. John saying he's okay with it for the second week in a row is not okay for his game because he's getting that symbol for throwing competitions and being okay with it. Nominate me, I'll throw it for you.
Right.
So John needs to figure out to say no. Like it's no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's almost like the way I see it is I think Johnny Mac is playing a really good game, but this is the first time that I'm just kind of like, all right, pump the brakes. You need to work on this because think about like it's almost kind of like a WWDD. What would Derek do? And if Derek even sniffed his name,
oh God!
Come on! All right, hey, hear me out.
No.
Hear me out.
No. Derek's not the only person that's one big brother. I am so sick of you people talking about Derek like he's the only person that's won this game. He's the only one that had a strategic game.
I'm not saying that.
You kind of are.
You're the one with the bracelet.
I mean, he's the winner that hasn't touched the block, and that's like that's the
battle of the block. There's a lot of people that wouldn't have touched the block if we had two people in the house like that.
All I'm saying is any good. All right, how about this? Any good player, if they sense their name coming up, they're going to do whatever they can to just shut that down. And I feel like John has no defense at that. As soon as his name is coming up, they're like, hey, get on the block. It's like, all right, let's do it. And I think that's a huge mistake. You know, the theme of this season is there's a new twist every week. They have no idea what the twist is yet for this week, if there even is one. And being one of two people that can go home is not a position that you want to be in. So I think that John really needs to just have more confidence and stick up for himself, you know, or else he's going to be on the block at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's when he's going to get evicted. And I think it's a really bad idea. But let's talk about Vanessa's decision to get Johnny on the block and throw it. Don't you think this is a little unnecessary? I mean, her other ally, arguably her strongest ally, is the other HOH. Is there a need to throw? Like, what's the deal here, Keith?
There's really no point. This is the perfect scenario for Vanessa and Austin to do whatever the hell they want. They can get, if they want to do a backdoor, nominate the 4 pawns you want to nominate. Like, I don't know. It's just very unorganized, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no need for all of these deals. Like, people just need to be okay with nominating somebody. You know, it's like people are not okay with nominating some people in the house when there's so many irrelevant lampposts hanging around.
Right.
Of personalities that I have no idea.
There's so much of this like dancing around the issue, like we can't let them know that we're doing this until the last possible moment, and it's like they think that they're going to be less angry when they find out then than when they find out now, and it's kind of like with the Audrey thing. It happened last week and it's happening this week. Aaron, do you think there's a like what's the problem with just nominating Jeff and James, Meg and Jason as the 4? You guarantee that 2 of them are going to be on the block, that 1 of them is going to be sitting there. Instead of playing this really overcomplicated pawn game in a game where there's so many twists, what's going on? What's with this?
The problem is these people have only seen a couple seasons of Big Brother, so they think what you're supposed to do is just pawn everybody and backdoor, which is true for this type of game. But you don't, especially in this situation, you don't need let's just have a night together. Let's enjoy it. Let's just do our nominations and then end of episode. Like literally there was so much filler that didn't need to happen. Deals being made, people being told they're going to go on the block. Like you don't even need any of that. I feel like for the reward, instead of Clay Aiken, we should have gotten Big Brother 3, Big Brother 4, a couple of seasons that you could watch and learn something.
Have a movie night.
I got something. So this Battle of the Block thing, the thing that I like about it is that there actually isn't that many seasons that had strategy associated with Battle of the Block, because in season 16 there's just this massive alliance. It didn't matter who they nominated; it's going to benefit their own alliance.
Right.
So the strategy isn't completely nailed down yet on how to best approach Battle of the Block, especially if you have somebody that's sort of ally in power as well. But if you just think about it, then it makes complete sense. Just nominate 2 pawns if you want to do a backdoor, or just nominate everybody that you want to get out of the house.
Right.
It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And what I like so far too is that every single week the 2 HOHs have been basically allies. Like Becky and Shelly were fine week 2. Jason and James, they're really good allies now. And then now we have Vanessa and Austin. What I can't wait for is when there's 2 HOHs that are on completely different sides of the house, having to have their nominees go at it and see who's gonna end up winning there.
And that's the moment I feel like we're waiting for with this twist that we have yet to get, and I think it's a mix of, well, there's this fear of when you're HOH of being the one that's dethroned and then even potentially backdoored. So it's almost like, as long as I'm safe, that's all I care about. Let's work together and find a common goal. But I agree, there's gonna be, hopefully it's this season, because there are different sides that, you know what, I want this person out. Well, I want this person out. Well, let's just put them up and we'll let the best man win. And, I really hope that situation comes, because that's when I think we're really going to we're going to get the most that we want from Battle of the Block. And
we don't want much. We just want it to be gone. But while it's here.
While it's here, yeah. So Meg and Jason win Battle of the Block. Austin is dethroned. Vanessa is in the position that she won. She's not afraid to get blood on her hands. Are you afraid for Vanessa's position in this game? Do you think that this is going to be the beginning of maybe a Helen storyline, someone that's in a great position but then just gets that little taste and just tears apart the entire kitchen? What
you sound like you have some stuff to say.
I mean,
Vanessa?
talking about it, I feel like we've touched on most of it, but I just want to make sure where you guys are on this, because I feel like, kind of like what we said, Vanessa was in a great position. She didn't have anything concrete, but I don't think anyone was necessarily gunning for her. There's a lot of threats being viewed, and she's putting herself in a move where she's going to piss off a lot of people. She's making a huge move to protect someone that has proven that she's untrustworthy. And I don't like it. I don't think it's a terrible move, but I don't think it's a good one.
I think the end of the day, Vanessa could have done a lot more with her HOH range. She could have got a lot more allies and appeased a lot of the house. However, she decided that with her HOH range, she's going to just draw a line. She concreted an alliance with Clay and Shelly. Congratulations. And you're going to protect a twin twist to help yourself as well. And then really it's just the rest of the house against those obvious pairs. You solidified you and Austin being an obvious pair. So you're going to be an easy Battle of the Block nomination alongside your buddy Austin to potentially go against Clay and Shelly. So it's gonna be a rough ride from Vanessa here on out.
Or better is, Vanessa and Clay versus Shelly and Austin.
Boom.
mess it up.
One of each.
Yeah.
My thing with Vanessa, because like the whole point of keeping Audrey in this game is not because they trust her or whatever. It's because they want to keep someone in that they believe is going to continually be targeted. But for Vanessa, I feel like there are already plenty of people in the game that take that role, but are more trustworthy. Like I think Austin would be targeted before Vanessa. I think Clay and Shelly would be targeted now that the twin thing is out. Those twins, Vanessa is really low on the totem pole as far as targets within her group of alliances. And making a move like that is going to raise her up a couple notches. It might put her up against Austin. Hell, it might even put her up against the twins and Clay and Shelly. Who knows? And so at the end of the day, you want to get someone out that you feel like is not going to have your back, someone that's a threat. And I feel like that's Audrey. And I just feel like Vanessa wants to make a big move and she wants to do these things and she's making these deals and playing this game and all that. And it's week 3.
Yeah.
And that's what my fear is for Vanessa.
Yeah, I don't think I think she got HOH in it. Not that I'm saying like it went to her head, but just the way that she was thinking it feels like it changed from non-HOH to HOH. And I'm just like, come on, like you had it. You had a good strategy. I mean, you had an issue with Audrey and like we've said, it was about you and you didn't get any blood or attacked or anything, and now you want the blood. Like, why couldn't you have the same thing, the same result this week, but have Austin be the one that's HOH? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, you could prove that you want HOH, you prove you can put people on the block, but you have to like protect him and Julia and Liz, like all this protection. But what about you?
I agree. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up. But before we do, I feel like this season, as crazy as it is pretty entertaining. I feel like no one is safe in the house right now. It's very open. We have no idea what's going on. And it's really cool. So I want to ask this question to you guys. Who do you feel like is in the best position in the game currently? I'll give you guys time to think about it. I'll go ahead and say mine. I thought about it a lot, and this might surprise a few of you guys, but I want to go ahead and say Shelly. And this is why I feel like she has, even though she's being viewed as a pair with Clay, I think she's the bottom of that pair, whether that's, correct or not. I think that's the perception in the house. I think Clay would go before Shelly. I think Clay and Shelly, believe it or not, have positioned themselves well enough right now to where they haven't really picked a side yet. And I think they can go to either side if they want to. Shelly is someone that I think is hiding behind a lot of targets, but she still has allies. Vanessa is oddly loyal to Clay and Shelly. With this, they're getting the twins on their side, but I think they also have the options of maybe Jackie, Becky. I don't know. I think that Shelly has a few options right now, and a few options is better than no options, which I think you could say for some people in the house right now. So I'm going to go with Shelly. What about you, Aaron?
It was hard because forgetting people that were in the house, but I'm going to give it to, at least right now, I'm going to give it to Steve. And that would be because of his lack of position in the house. There are two sides forming, and he's not on either side, and these two sides are going to go after each other. They're even going to go after Audrey before they're going to come after Steve, I would think. The only thing that would mess that up is him sticking his neck out and winning an HOH, or probably winning a veto or something big that we're like, oh, now we see that you're in the house, so now we're going to come after you. I think it's good.
Steve actually has the second most, or not second most, but like is tied with somebody for having the most competition wins. So he's like very alert that he needs to downplay his ability to win competitions. So I like your pick. I like your pick with Steve. And I loved his pregame assessment where he's like, I don't want the first week HOH. Probably don't even want the second. I think his approach is very good to place himself in that position. So,
right.
The person that I thought of, and is the reason why I think of these people is because like pawns tend to stay in longer. So I was thinking between Johnny and Meg.
That happens too.
But between them two, I would have to give it to Johnny at this point, just because he's similar to his position in Steve, where he doesn't have a concrete alliance with anybody, and people see him as a valuable tool for a potential HOH reign. He's willing to throw a battle of the block. I can remain in power. They don't want to get rid of somebody like that. The only thing, though, is that I hope that Johnny starts developing those social relationships that's necessary to make it further to the game, because I think that he'll easily get jury, but once it gets to jury stage, it'll be difficult for him to make it even further unless he has those well-established relationships with people that are in the house.
Definitely.
But I'll give it to Johnny with Meg right behind him.
Cool. Well, yeah, I love that we all have different names. I think it just shows how kind of open this game right now, how crazy it is. So I'm really excited to see how this week pans out. I think it'll be very interesting. You guys want to make sure that you watch the veto episode this Wednesday. Also stay tuned for our breakdown right after. Follow us on Twitter at Jacob Harple, at Most Humble, at Sarcastivities. Like us on Facebook under Big Brother Basics, and subscribe to our YouTube channel under the same name. Thank you guys for watching so much, and remember, stay basic.
Bye.
What would Derek do?